I'm Louisa.
And I'm Zach.
We're experts in
nothing
except our opinions. Trust me, I have a nose.
100 years ago, he just disappeared.
They just used all the exposition. Hang on. Like 30 seconds in, they used all the exposition that the show, they should have just done the show intro. Because they,
Avatar.
well, like, they talked about him being in touch with the spiritual world. You, like, instead of just saying it, like, show it. Like, they did all this, they pretty much told the whole story in the first 30 seconds with a scroll of words, and it just told you the whole movie. For even the people that haven't ever seen it, they just told you everything. The Fire Nation showing up, like, the black soot in the air, like, that mixes with the snow, like the black snow, that was like a sign of them coming. It was just like, boom, Fire Nation here. Like, they're not as ominous.
8
I'm
minutes.
having a really hard time because Sokka and Zuko. No. What's the brother's name? Sokka and Katara are white, and their grandma is white, and then everybody else
there's a redhead.
in the village is of Asian descent. I really don't like that.
So, Ero instead of Iroh. Ong instead of Aang, which is the most atrocious one. And then, Soka instead of Sokka. The pronunciations are god-awful. Alright, I knew the bending is going to be terrible. One of the key stupid things is the firebenders have to have a fire built around them already created for them to be able to firebend, whereas all the other elements don't need it. In the show, it didn't matter. They could create fire from their fist. At the very beginning, when they're intimidating the water tribe of the movie, it actually makes sense for him to use the fire to, like, intimidate them and throw it over their heads, because it also puts the fire out. But then when Zuko's doing his little fight scene, like when he's angrily training against those guys, like, it's going to be awful that they have to have fire to firebend.
Tell us how you really feel, Zach.
Oh, it's going to be awful. 25 minutes in, this is a garbage movie. And they're jumping around too much. There's no emotion in it. So, there was some good... Alright, so this is the first fight between the Earthbenders and the Fire Nation people. There was some good animation when they would when the Earthbenders would build a wall. The problem was it was covered, like the actual CGI was covered with too much dust. When I saw the clips online, it looked like a dust wall instead of solid rock. So I could see the solid rock now, but it was covered by so much dust you really couldn't tell. And then they would just pull up a wall and then put it back down, which made no sense. Because in the show, they would pull up a wall, and then when they punch through it and shoot the rocks at them.
I'm just tired because this doesn't make any sense. They're skipping too much.
Yeah, they're definitely, like, all over the place. They're pulling 5 minutes from, like, every episode. They're pulling, like, a 5-minute section from each
Less
episode.
than that, because she just got the scroll for the water bending.
That was a whole episode.
And a whole episode, if not 2, because the pirates
came back.
Yeah.
But like, that was the only good thing. That was the clip I saw online that made me not see it. That fight right there. You had a group of like 6 Earthbenders that did this dance together, and this rock slowly comes in front of the camera, and then somebody else punches the rock and shoots it at somebody. When they shot the rock, that was good. But, like, the whole dance group off to the side, I don't know if they brought the rock over for the one person to throw. It was stupid. It was stupid.
We're 31 minutes in. God help us all.
So he's in the Avatar throne room type deal with all the different avatars. He's in the Northern Air Temple. In the very, first or second episode is when he went into the thing. That's when he freaked out the first time when he found Monk Gyatso. He was like, hey, in the movie, he's going like, hey, come to this secret chamber. And they just walk right in. In the show, it was like a special door that only airbenders could open, and people couldn't get into it.
It's all just editing. There's no transitions. There's no storyline. It's just
they're taking
Boop,
blips.
boop,
They're
boop,
taking
boop,
they're
boop.
taking blips from multiple episodes, and I understand that you're trying to compact it into a movie.
But that's the problem. They were making one movie. They should have broken it up into 3, made a trilogy.
No, I think that's what they were trying to do. At the beginning of this one, it said Book 1, Water, which is season 1.
Yeah.
They were gonna make multiple movies, but this is such shit that they scrapped it. Hopefully, I hope they don't come out with.
So this
more.
isn't telling the whole story?
This is supposed to encapsulate season 1.
I thought it told the whole thing until they fight the Fire Nation.
I mean, that's what I was saying. They pretty much did in the scroll. They pretty much told everything. The problem is they did in the first 40 minutes. The scroll at the beginning of the movie, the scroll of exposition.
They are just repeating the exposition.
It.
Yeah,
they repeated in the story. You didn't either don't have the scroll or skip those parts that repeat what you've already said.
Yep,
it's horrible.
40 minutes in, still bad.
All right, so they did the blue spirit thing where Aang, not Ung, Aang gets rescued by Zuko in disguise and everything like that, and then they had the forest scene where Aang tries to tell him like, do you think we could have been friends at one time? And like that happens in season 1 of the show, and that builds upon spoiler, like that builds upon what happens later on when Zuko becomes like a friend. He throws it back in his face later on in the TV show where he's like at one time you said we could be friends. I thought you would accept me, the good in me. Like he just in the movie he just ran away. He made sure he's safe. He built a fire next to a firebender. When that's all they use, which is
51 minutes, he's dying. Like at 70 minutes, he's dead.
Not dead. This is garbage. This is I can't even say it right. Sokka, and I don't even know if they said her name yet. Yue is what it's supposed to be, but they're having their little romantic thing out of nowhere. I want to cuss so bad. she thought she was recording. She wasn't. No, at the Moon and Ocean Spirits, the guy that's playing Admiral Zhao or General Zhao, he's doing a good job of acting kind of sort of deranged like the guy was in the TV show. The problem is you didn't see his escalation to that point. In the show, it showed
there's no emotional attachment. There's no storyline.
When he put the fish in the bag, the moon went out. They're not even showing that. And then when he kills the fish, which I'm assuming he's going to do, when he kills the fish, that's when it turned red and everybody really started freaking out. But it's just like there's no emotional attachment and there's no no character development.
I'm ready for this to be over.
Yeah, I know.
So we just got done with the classic, the one and only Last Airbender.
It's called
movie
the Last Airbender. Yeah,
on Netflix, which they released as well as the Nickelodeon series.
No, the Nickelodeon series is actually coming up, like in May 18th or something like that.
But they're releasing them all at the same time.
No, that's good. But I guess mine is the only opinion that she cares about.
Yes, I hated it.
Yeah, you hated it, but I love the cartoon more. But you see now why I hate this one more.
It didn't do any justice, anything. To me, it feels like he just took the titles of each episode. Shyamalan. Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan just took the titles of each episode and was like,
and wrote 5 minutes worth about each.
Let's put that
without watching them,
and let's put that there, and there was. Ugh.
The editing was horrible in the sense of how jumpy it was. There was no character development, and I groaned out loud every time they mispronounced the main character's name. So here's all the character names they got wrong. I mentioned it before. So instead of Avatar, they said Avatar a lot. All right, General Iroh, the uncle, Iroh, Zuko they got right, Katara they got right. Sokka, they called Soka every time. They talked about Chi, which was not a big thing in the show. What else did they?
Avatar, Aang, Ong.
No, that was I was getting to that because that's the most atrocious one. But they said Aang, or they said Ung a lot, and every time I just verbally moaned.
But also they said it they said Avatar differently every time. I felt like sometimes
back and forth,
the people were trying to say it the correct way.
Yeah, I can't believe nobody told him, was like, hey, and I read something about that. I read the reason that M. Night Shyamalan wanted him to be called Ung, his explanation was something to the, I'm paraphrasing, basically in like Chinese or another Asian country's vernacular, it sounds like Ung, but my problem with that is it was an American-made show, and they said Aang. Like, this wasn't an anime that was originally made in Japan and then dubbed in English. It was all made in English from the get-go. It's Aang. Like, even anime, when a Japanese-made anime has a name like Kurt, they say Kurto. They keep the same, like, almost like English sounding thing. It's the dumbest thing ever. The worst movie I've ever seen, and I'm extra biased, but it's just awful. Like, the pacing, the story. There's no you don't connect to the characters. There's no character development. It's almost like they're acting like they should at the time, but like they just there's no development. There's like it's an awful movie. I hope they never make any more. They set it up to make multiple, but I think they dropped it.
That last fight scene where Aang was kind of slow motioning around.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Like, that was one time where I think both of us kind of paused and were like, now that doesn't look bad.
And the reason is because they move too much and nothing happens. In that one of the final scenes where he's water bending and
like
flipping in slow motion and doing all that stuff.
He takes out like 8 guys with 8 different moves.
Yeah. It's like he does one thing and this guy gets frozen. He does this thing and he hits the guy with water or whatever. Yeah. Like it's like it's almost a 1-to-1. Mm-hmm. But it's ridiculous. And then they botch that whole
moon
ending.
Spirit.
The whole ending. They completely and so then Iroh can make fire without having a fire around him.
Chi.
Or guess. But and he just scared off, it's all over the place. Princess Yue did not become the moon.
She just died.
They expositioned her, when they showed up to the northern temple, or the northern tribe, water tribe, the northern water tribe. When they showed up, it was just a voiceover of Katara going, and they became quick friends. It's like she set up their relationship. They didn't even have an awkward moment where you could tell they liked each other. She was like, they became friends fast, and there was too much exposition where that means where they just tell you what happens. Like with a voiceover, they don't show you anything. There's too much telling you about things instead of showing you. It's just ridiculous. It's the worst. I am appalled. I will never see it again. It definitely doesn't ruin it. To me, it elevates the cartoon series as even better.
Well, yeah.
I mean, nothing will and apparently they're making a live action series, but the original creators of the cartoon, they're making they're making it, but they're going to do a live action, but it's the original guys, and they're going to do it as a series. I understand that you got to cut things down. It's hard to cut things down from a season and put it into a 2-hour movie, which is 1 hour and 40. But I understand it's kind of hard to cut stuff down, but just the way they did it was awful. They could have Harry Pottered this and made it 8 movies long,
Well,
and it would have
You
been
could have
awesome.
had like book 1, water.
Yeah.
Part 1 and then part 2, 2 separate movies.
You could have
to cover
6
the
movies.
First season.
You could have 7 movies. Two for the first season, 2 for the second season, and I'd do 3 because the cartoon series split the finale into 4 parts.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. But like, it's just.
How many episodes was in the first season?
First season was like 8. It was no more than 20. It was like 18 or 20.
Oh.
Second season was 18 or 20. But then the last season was like 22. I just remember that the last season, and maybe second season and third season had the same amount. But the last season definitely had like 22.
Okay.
But it was.
It's garbage. Don't watch it. Thumbs it down on Netflix and don't watch it.
Yeah. I can't. I can't. It's awful.
Appa looked like
Appa.
garbage. His face was one-dimensional. He didn't have any detailing or anything. They never even said Momo's name.
Yeah, I don't even think I don't remember them saying Momo's name. And he actually the character the CGI character actually looked pretty good for Momo. A little bit different, but I was fine with it. But it was like Momo was pointless.
Aang looked like he got stung in the face by a bee and had a allergic reaction, like in his cheeks.
Oh, do you want to talk about the white, or have you already talked about the whitewashing?
It was completely whitewashed.
Oh yeah, it was like all the extras were Asian, or I say
South
Eskimo,
Asian.
but I'm saying Native American,
Inuit.
Yeah, sorry, but like it was like all the
extras
were
the native people
of what you would expect,
and then the stars were white.
Yeah, except for Aang, who I believe the reason they hired him, I believe, was because he knew some martial arts and could do some of the moves.
Well, the fight scenes were garbage.
Yeah, the fight scenes weren't good. I saw a couple of mistakes that they kept in, like actor mistakes of like missing a beat.
He tried to flip one time when he was meeting the water princess, and he missed
when
the
he
flip
created
and
the
he had to
wind
flip
tornado.
again.
One is when he tried to create the wind tornado to show him that he was the Avatar, the Last Airbender, or whatever. He did like a break dance. He did like 15 moves, and then the tornado. It's just ridiculous. It's awful. It's awful. Watch the animated series. It's 10 times better. It's immeasurably better, and it will actually make sense.
It has a 4.1 on IMDb.
What does this?
Yeah.
Okay, that's too high. That's way too high. Yeah. When they were interviewing people when they were coming out, and they were like, "Oh yeah, it was good," I was like, "You're lying. Like you're a kid and you don't know anything. You're lying." Like I would have hated that if I was a teenager, and especially I would have hated it after seeing the series.
Garbage.
Awful. Worst movie ever.
Watch the series.
Never watching it. Never watching it again.
Watch the series. Don't watch the movie.